These are the findings of our exclusive Delhi election tracker on a day when the Delhi elections have been announced, conducted by India Today Group and Cicero in the first week of January. We're giving you the big picture which shows the BJP is set to cross the halfway mark, but the Aap is not out of the contest. In fact, it is turning out to be a close contest between the BJP and Aap as per our survey. The Congress is getting wiped out in this survey. The next big question, what were the big issues that people felt they would vote on? 10% felt price rise is the biggest election issue in India, in Delhi. Interesting because 8 months ago, it was the biggest issue. 12% rated the problem of availability of water to be the top issue this election. 17% felt corruption is the top issue. 20% felt safety of women is the major issue in this election. I'm just wondering, when you look at those numbers, whether there is a shift which is taking place also on election issues. You know, Manini Chatterjee, if you did this survey 8 months ago, inflation was the biggest issue. It was double digit. Clearly, Narendra Modi in his speech also made the point that I brought inflation, prices have come down. Do you believe that that is the big advantage in a way that the BJP is going with, that there is a general sense of well-being today compared to 8 months ago, and Mr. Modi can take credit for that?
8 months ago, there was a general sort of frenzy in the nation. Everything past 60 years was terrible, and he was promising the moon. In fact, I think that people are actually unhappy that vegetable prices have not come down at all. I mean, vegetable prices are huge at the moment. And I think why the Aap is gaining is because the Congress is collapsing. Now, if the Congress picks up even a little more than what your survey is showing, because today Mr. Ajay Markan has been declared. Yes. Now, Congress was not even in the race. Once the Congress comes into the fray, then you can have very different results.
That's very interesting, because the Congress factor, you know, Shazia Ilmi is also joining us. You've been ex-Aap. You know, Shazia, it's interesting. Women's safety, major issue, and that's perhaps because that's been top of the mind in the last couple of weeks. But corruption, 17%. And many believe that if the Aap is in this race in Delhi, it's because they were seen in the 49-day government to take a strong stand on corruption. Do you believe that the Aam Aadmi Party gets its votes on this corruption plank, or does it get it because it's promising Bijli and Pani at cheaper rates? What is it about the Aam Aadmi Party that despite suffering a heavy defeat in the general election, it still hasn't completely disappeared?
Well, broadly speaking, Rajdeep, Congress's loss really is becoming Aap's gain. Where JJ slums go and minorities go, that entire section is actually gravitating towards Aam Aadmi Party in a big way. Which is why I find it very interesting that BJP, which was considered a middle-class party, and Narendra Modi in his first big rally in Delhi actually talked about and referred to Garib some 30 times or more, as well as, tom the fact that so many slums have finally been regularized. While Arvind Kejriwal is going home with the message of making Delhi a Wi-Fi enabled everywhere, educational loans, therefore wooing the middle class. The presumption being that the Juggi Jhopdi vote is already with Aam Aadmi Party, and the middle classes are still swayed, so to speak, and not exactly disenchanted by Modi yet. So keeping that in mind, the other constituency, so to speak, is being wooed very aggressively insofar as the campaign is concerned. What I find, and of course, and I speak, this is a point I make objectively, notwithstanding my disenchantment with Aap and all of that. Yes. But having said that, corruption as an issue, and Jan Lokpal and Swaraj, the key issues, the ethos of Aam Aadmi Party really seems to have taken a back seat. It is realpolitik. It is about Juggi vote, Purvanchal vote, Parvasi vote. It is about caste denomination. So you're saying, it is pretty much of that.
You're saying the Aam Aadmi Party has finally grown up and realized that you have to start fighting elections on normal issues, including caste and vote banks. But it's interesting, the other point that she made. Yes. I see on hoardings, Arvind Kejriwal promising to make Delhi Wi-Fi free. Yeah. You know, fully Wi-Fi. You know, Wi-Fi for free. He's taking up issues that he never took up 11 months ago.
They need a plus.
No, sorry, they need a plus vote. So, the BJP needs a plus vote from the Juggi Jhopdis to get a clear majority. Aam Aadmi Party needs the plus vote from middle class areas.
Well, not middle class. I think what he's aiming at is the youth vote. And the youth aspirational vote. Which actually comes across. A boy, a Delhi boy, whether he lives in a Juggi or in Panchil Park has a yen for things like Wi-Fi, and I see everybody with a phone regardless of
No, but isn't it true? Isn't it true, Javed? Isn't it true that the youth and we come back to what happened in May of 2014, voted for Narendra Modi in large numbers? I thought that was a settled issue. 18 to 23 age group is the one which has been most attracted to Modi. Why are they suddenly seeing Arvind Kejriwal?
That group is still with Modi.
That group is still with Modi. In your view, the youth is still with Modi.
Even in the poorest of the poor areas.
It's ever static.
Is ever static or a settled issue?
Yes.
Perhaps we must also begin to recognize now, and you will appreciate this a bit more, is that, you know, the shine is beginning to go off the ball. 8 months ago, he promised the world. Everybody thought, including his detractors, that, you know, he is going to take us to the promised land.
Let me tell you, they're still the number one party. You know, the way you're making it out,
they were the number one party.
The number one party.
But Rajiv, they were the number one party last time also. So it's not that they're going to do badly.
Okay, and now with all the loony fringe that Mr. Bhalla was referring to, you know, somebody's talking of Labjat, somebody's talking of Ghar Wapsi and all this. This agenda seems to be getting hijacked. Mr. Modi is not able to deliver, not only unable to rein them in, but also
let me ask Mr. Dr. Bhalla that. Has the honeymoon ended? Do you really believe these numbers suggest the honeymoon? Because there is a theory that if you see Jharkhand, the vote was not quite as emphatic as the BJP had hoped in those elections. Jammu and Kashmir, clearly they set their goal a little too high, but you could argue that even second place was a strong performance. But there's a general sense that the honeymoon may be finally ending with you know, the wave factor certainly is not there. That was there in May. Do you agree with that? The wave is over?
Broadly, but it's a nuanced, if you will, conclusion. I think if you ask me about the economy, is the promise, is the honeymoon of Modi vis-a-vis the economy, is that over? It's definitely not over. It's definitely not over. Matter of fact, I think it's gaining strength. So what has happened? If you ask now, similarly, non-economic issues, is the honeymoon over? Absolutely. In May, when people voted, we did not know how, we knew this issue would come up, but we had no idea as to whether he'd be able to handle it well, not well, etc. I think now the general conclusion seems to be, and I think it's correct, that the handling of the non-economic issues, whether you want to call it
does that include law and order? Does that include corruption?
No.
Does that include women's safety?
No.
And the reason not. But those are the big issues of Delhi. So why should...
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Look, if you have that 20% have number one priority is safety of women, I'd like to know, right? How can one decide, who is deciding, whether it's the Juggi-Jogwalas or the poor, the middle class or the rich, that Kejriwal can somehow deliver on that more than Modi? Absolutely not. Okay. So let's just be clear.
So you believe that Kejriwal still suffers a bigger...
Let's not be confused.
Kejriwal still suffers a bigger credibility deficit today
massive.
Compared to Modi when it comes to governance in your view?
Absolutely.
As per your definition of governance.
But on the social issues, as I said, there is a deficit that Modi is facing.
Okay.
Because he's not living up to expectations.
Can I just take a break? Let me take a break, take a pause, and come to those issues. And look at how those issues are playing out among different segments of the population. What Dr. Bhalla may see as an example of good governance may not be seen as an example of good governance possibly by someone who lives in another section of society. We're coming back to the so-called class war of Delhi. Rural-urban pockets also divided in terms of caste and class. Let's look at who do these various classes and castes vote for as per the India Today Cicero poll. Who do the rural voters of Delhi want? Our survey indicates the Congress, once dominant in these areas, now comes last with 17% of the votes. The Aam Aadmi Party, known for its connect to grassroots level, comes with 37% of the votes. Interestingly, the BJP is scoring even here 40% of the rural votes. Remember, there's a large Jat vote also in outer Delhi and places around Delhi. How is the urban population in Delhi voting? The Congress here trails with 13% of the votes. The Aam Aadmi Party was in second place with 36% of the votes. But the big winner was the BJP with 44% of the votes. So 4% above its average. So clearly, if you looked at a rural-urban divide, the BJP at the moment doing much better in the strong urban pockets. But even in rural areas, ahead of the Aam Aadmi Party. So, Seshadri Chari, this would confirm what you are saying, that the BJP is strong, you believe across, that it isn't only a party of middle classes as we sometimes tend to project it as. It's gone well beyond that.
No, I am still going by the figures of the last Delhi elections. I am not going by the Lok Sabha figures, or I am not even going by these figures.
Yes.
I am going by the last Delhi Assembly figures.
Yes.
And I am also going by the figures that we have got in these 6 months, where we have struggled in almost all the 70 constituencies. We have profiled them. So if you go by that, even the last year's figures don't prove you to be very right. I wish you are right, but unfortunately not, because you have to earn your profit also. The idea is, see, look at Sangam Vihar. I'll tell you, you mentioned Sangam Vihar in the last things. 24,000 votes for BJP, 24,851 for Aam Aadmi Party. Hardly 712 votes.
Right.
And the BSP has got 9,850 votes. And the Congress has got only 16,435. Practically. This Sangam Vihar BJP is number 2. I'll mention one more constituency for. Take Mustafabad. BJP 54,000. Congress 56,000. Aam Aadmi Party only 19,000. BSP 2,900.
No, what is the point you're trying to make? What is the point, Seshadri Chari, that you're trying to make?
What I'm trying to say is, the whole idea that the entire poor Garib Tabka is going to Aam Aadmi Party and the entire
okay, so you're saying that there are sharp divides among every committee. Yes, Manisha, quickly.
The point that you just made, and we did not pay enough attention to, Rajdeep, was the issue about place. When we are talking about Sangam Vihar, it doesn't mean that it's a place come class, co-terminus. This is an area that land has traditionally been held by Jats and Gujars, this and many others. That's a typical pattern. And property titles are completely disputed, with the Muslims and Jats up in arms saying, our Tughlaq ke time say it is our Bap Dada who owned this and went to Pakistan.
So all I'm
saying
about the voters, not about the owners.
The dominant in these areas, therefore, still go towards the BJP. We know in the Lok Sabha elections, the Jats were overwhelmingly inclined towards the BJP. The underclass goes this way.
Can I just bring in just a minute? These are Delhi Assembly votes. Since Shazia has been contested in those Delhi Assembly polls, you lost by a small margin. Am I to understand that the way you approached that election also was in the belief that in a constituency like yours, which you contested R.K. Puram, that the middle class areas was where at that stage the Aam Aadmi Party had a lot of resonance, but that has become a little less, and you were hoping to count on the poorer areas to win that election?
No, I really don't want to discredit any methodology of analysis of elections, but there's also something called a mood, a palpable excitement, some kind of pull and an X factor and a wave that runs elections. So it was pretty much Arvind Kejriwal. That was the flavor. There was some excitement. So I want to make a point here. We can go into details later, but much just like last time, but there was this anger against Congress party and Sheila Dikshit's 15-year rule, so to speak. And later on in Lok Sabha, there was this whole Modi magic which was swaying the masses. This time, the enchantment with Modi seems to have waned. Yes. But all the anger and the euphoric excitement for AAP has also waned.
That's
so
an
I don't
interesting
see
point.
any real wave.
I think you're making a very interesting point, that there is no,
so
that the excitement over Narendra Modi, which we saw in the general elections, has waned, and the excitement over Arvind Kejriwal, which we saw in December 2013, has also waned. Is that right? Is that what your poll is showing? That there isn't that kind of excitement over Kejriwal or Modi?
Excitement, right. When our polls last year, in 2013, were projecting AAP at about 20%, Arvind Kejriwal's rating was 41%, 42%.
Right.
Now the gap isn't so big. So Kejriwal was a bigger factor then. But at the same time, now they have an organization. Last time they won polling booths where they didn't have a
But I think Shazia makes a good point.
On the other hand, their organization has gone to dogs. Actually, their organization is disintegrated. If you talk in terms of organization, the BJP is more organized.
Of course, the BJP is more organized.
And one plus factor for BJP is that people's earning, even if you take Shazia's to be correct, even in that case, what people want is a stable government, and that factor, that perception that somehow Kejriwal will not be able to give a stable government is what is now hurting him the most.
That's an interesting point again. No, that's the interesting point that Kejriwal suffers on the account of not perhaps being able to provide a stable government. Narendra Modi promises that. Narendra Modi promises that the central government and the state government being one will ensure greater coordination. I just want to understand the mood of Delhi, the word that Shazia used. What is the mood of Delhi in 2015? 2014, the dominant mood was Narendra Modi. People wanted Modi at the general elections, even in states like Maharashtra, Haryana, Jharkhand. By and large, they wanted Modi. Do you sense now that that mood of 2014 has declined just in the first 6 weeks of 2015? Surely not. Surely people are still seeing Modi as providing a stable government, as providing the same government in the center and same in the state.
It's not a tsunami kind of support for him. But there is BJP is still the number one today. But I think the BJP has made a big mistake by not projecting a chief minister. Why?
The party would have been broken.
No. The reason why Mr. Kejriwal is coming up so much in the because there is no other credible chief ministerial candidate in the race at the moment.
No, it is the other way around. It is the other way around. It is the other way around. According to me, the people want
after Harshvardhan was projected last time, it helped the BJP. If it had been Vijay Goyal, it would not have helped the BJP.
Can I just get one word from you?
And I think if Ajay Makan actually goes, we are at the moment everyone's written off the Congress.
Yes.
But in the next one month, if the Congress shows that they are still in the race and that they are not given up the fight.
But that will only come to the BJP's advantage.
That will be our advantage.
A stronger Congress goes to the BJP's advantage because the Congress takes a large chunk of the vote that today seems to be going to the Aam. But final comments. Does the BJP need, for example, a chief ministerial candidate? The Delhi elections have been announced today. The first big battle, February 7th, is the big voting day, and 10th are the actual results. And the India Today Cicero election tracker has predicted that if elections are held today, the BJP will get a majority, AAP a strong second, the Congress being decimated. Has Cicero got it right this time? Let's find out what our panelists have to say as of January 12th. Manisha Priyam, quickly, who's going to win the elections? Is it clear the BJP is getting a majority? 10 seconds.
Yes, the BJP is indeed inching towards the majority mark. I would look out for the change, however, on the part of the voter. The Dalit voter is what I would watch out for.
Okay, Surjit.
Delhi is not a microcosm of India.
It's not?
Absolutely not.
Microcosm of urban India, according to me, but go ahead.
But very quickly, 10 seconds, BJP, subject to the vision, we all allowed that. BJP gets 41 seats, AAP gets 23, and the Congress gets 6.
Surjit, you've really thrown the cat among the pigeons by giving those exact numbers. That's almost a promo for his new book, which is coming out on cricket, where he's also giving you exact numbers as to who will win the World Cup. Dhananjay, I'm not asking you the question because it's your poll, but you want to put your money on it?
Yeah, I'll put my money on it.
You're putting your money on your poll. Okay, good.
But the next poll comes, you'll put your money on that poll.
That's the latest stuff.
This is a tracker. Quickly, Javed.
This is an election BJP is to lose.
This is an election for the BJP to lose. Manini.
I think as of today, the BJP is number one, but I think there's a long time till February 7th. And if the Congress picks up, on the plank of nostalgia, because I think after 1 year of no government, at least many of people like me are looking back fondly at what Sheila did to this.
Yeah. Fair enough. I think that's an interesting point.
And so the Congress has a real chance after 8 months of being in the wilderness of making a bit of a mark. But it's up to them to do it.
I'm not going to ask Sisha.
But it's going to be a hung assembly.
I'm not asking who. No, you're saying hung assembly. Okay. Hung assembly, 41 seats.
That's a possibility.
BJP ahead.
No,
that's a possibility versus.
Beyond Surjit Bhalla, I would say BJP will exceed 41. BJP
Okay.
You have to near 48.
As long as you're saying 48. Okay. As long as you're not saying 70 out of 70 as some BJP leaders told me this morning. But we are going to leave it at that. Remember, this is only the 12th of January. Still 4 weeks to go. We'll have another tracker at the end of the month. Look forward to that. Thanks for your company. Goodbye.